Hey, how are we all? Feeling good this morning? Absolutely. Did some of you just have the pleasure of taking Marco's class? He's just had to have a quick drink, get it all ready. Amazing. I hope you all had an amazing day yesterday. It was so great, and the level of excitement yesterday was so good. So hopefully we're all still feeling bright enough today and not too exhausted or anything like that. But we're super excited to have you at this session. Now, I'm going to do a bit of a bio read. Just a little one. We have the extraordinary Marco Panzic, along with some of the cast members of New Era, Surya and Will. Woo-woo. I'm so excited to see a New Era. I heard that it's been amazing. Because you guys all know Marco. He has been a multifaceted, career-spinning creative director, choreographer, producer, and dancer. And he has an incredible credit list, topping in the country, and he's also an amazing, amazing human. And that is what I love, and that's why I'm so excited to be presenting this session. And we really want to talk about growing kids from the ground up and creating a new era of dancers, like these amazing dancers here. So we're so excited to get into it. Thanks, Marco.
Hi. Or is that better? Okay. I just hate my voice. Hi, guys. We're going to keep this real relaxed and calm and a nice conversation. I thought this would be a great time together with people as yourselves, teachers, choreographers, everything, to talk about more so the side of I was saying developing the dream in a sense of we all see the success of what we feel dancers are or a career in the arts is, and it's kind of what steps has different people taken, how can we in the classroom at our studios encourage and support dancers into a possible career, or if it's even not about a career, different avenues. I think dance can add so many notches to not only a dance career. I think dance is so important across so many parts of just even life. So I think we have an important role as educators in dance, as much as it's just movement or people go, oh, it's dance. And we are a weird world because you can't explain it to anyone else outside of the world. Because when they say, what do you do? Dance. They're like, what does that mean? But then when you're in our world, it is huge and it's growing. And we can all feel it that Australia is growing at a rapid pace in dance. I can definitely say I would even say once COVID ended, there was this gates of everything went from 0 to 100 really quick, which is really exciting and amazing, but also frightening because there's so much now. And as educators, we really have, the responsibility to guide and mentor our students equally into what they need, if that makes sense. Because I'm sure as teachers, you get kids all the time going, I really want to do this. How do I achieve this? Da-da-da. And it must actually be a really tough job because especially in that age time of full-time and the time of deciding, I really want to take that leap and understanding that investment, there is a lot of discussion that isn't discussed. I feel I'm going to be very candid.
Go for it. We love that.
No, but I feel like there's a lot of selling the dream. And my company's called The Dream, so I'm not selling the dream. But I'm saying there's a lot of selling the dream into investing big money into having a career. And I think the thing that isn't discussed is what is the reality of a career and actually how much money can you make from a career and what tools you need to be able to have a career in dance. Because people are laying out tens of thousands of dollars now, and years of time into a dance career. And as much as that's exciting and great, we need to be making sure that we're actually educating these people to go somewhere, not to go through a machine to out the other left stranded in debt. Does that make sense? So I think this can be a nice conversational point, because it also, I just believe, with the rapidness of Australia growing, we need to, as a community, understand how to maintain it together, but still allow it to grow. Because growth is amazing in terms of business, but it's kind of the conversations you have to have with your clientele, how much there is now, and guiding and all of that. But we'll get that down the track. Hi, I'm Marco. That's the little oversight. I wanted to bring these two amazing human beings, Surya and Will, along to this discussion because they're currently in the Dream Dance Company. We're literally in the middle of it. And next week is like a massive week putting everything together. And then we open in, what day is it today? Sunday, we'll be at our final shows in 2 weeks. So and to think like what can be achieved in time, let me tell you, it's amazing. So we've got a lot of work to do still with the show, but it's very exciting. And I wanted to bring these two because they come from two completely different backgrounds in their training, in their experiences through the dance world, but also I think it's great to hear. I also find, say with my program, Show Business, what I love about it is I learn so much about the industry through the eyes of this generation. And I think that has always been something that I grow more with what's coming rather than what's been as such. And I think it's really important to understand this generation to then the next generation to understand how we can support it and understand it and build around it, rather than trying to have everyone has to fit into, because the world is changing. So I think it would be great to have these two insight into topics that arise, because I think it's fun to, hear from me, what my view is, but then to hear people that are still amongst it and having the career and doing the work is really important. So Surya, we'll do a little snapshot of your little journey for like a couple of minutes. You can tell them about Surya.
Okay.
Go.
This on? Oh yeah, cute. Hi, my name's Surya. I'm like, where do I start now? I grew up in a small town called Wollongong. Woo-woo. You might know. I started at Sher's Modern Studio when I was very little. Was there for a while. Went through a couple of studios down in Wollongong. They all shut down, which was devastating. But all led me to come up and train at Village for a few years. I started there when I was 16, and I was lucky enough to then graduate from that studio. I did full-time for a year there, and just since then, I don't know. That's all I really got to say. What more?
Well, you've built a lot. She's building she's a little jazz queen here. If you haven't seen Surya, amazing jazz teacher and also choreographer. And I'm such a jazz lover. So when I see this generation do jazz great, do you all know, everyone in here who loves jazz, Surya's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
And a great teacher, which is really, really special.
Thank you, Marco. I'll warm up.
Hi, I'm Will. I'm 19, so I started dancing when I was 7 in a small town called Maitland. It's inland from Newcastle. And I grew up dancing at a small studio there for a few years, and then I moved to a studio on the Central Coast, and I was traveling 3 hours a day, an hour to school, and then an hour from school to dance, and then an hour home every day to go to the studio, and I did a lot of heavy ballet at that studio, and I did full-time ballet there when I was 15, maybe. And then I moved from that studio up to the Gold Coast to Dance Force, which is where I did full-time when I was 16. I did full-time for 2 years there, so I did full-time when I was 16 to 17 and then 17 to 18. And then I went away on a contract with Royal Caribbean for a year, and then I just got back about 6 months ago, and I've just been teaching heaps, which has been super good because the younger generation's amazing.
So see, already 2 very different journeys as well, which would spark a lot of interest in conversation. I have actually some questions I'm going to ask these.
Woohoo! And then I'll take over
then you
at
take
some
over.
point. We're going to share this interviewing.
Yeah, I love it. I want to ask these guys a few questions for my own self. I was just like, I want to know these answers. This is an interesting one. So, like, as a dancer growing up, how did you feel like best supported? Like, how was your support system growing up as a dancer? Like, what was that to you?
I felt best supported. I don't know if this is like off the tangent, but honestly, the actual way I felt best supported was through words of affirmation, through my training, 100%. Through everything. I feel like anytime I had a teacher, because I went through a lot of studios, unfortunately, like I said, a lot of them shut down in Wollongong. When I had like a teacher tell me they were just proud of me or I was doing a good job, and I heard those words, the words that I remember for the rest of my life. So yeah, it's quite simple, but that was honestly the best way I felt supported, was just hearing words from my teachers and the people that I looked up to the most and my mentors. So yeah.
Mine would probably be like, yeah, words of reassurance. I'm definitely someone who likes to be reassured in something. Like, it's going to be okay, keep working hard at it. It's all going to work out the way it's supposed to. And as well, like, my friends that I was surrounded with, and I feel like it's super important for, like, the studios to nurture the relationships between the students to keep that strong, because at the end of the day, having a great network around your friends is, like, honestly all that matters. Like, dance is such a big thing, but you need your social aspect with your friends and you need to build a good group. So I think, like, having that nurtured around you honestly was, like, the biggest help, and I had such a great supportive group of friends. And my family too, they're great.
I love it, but that leads to, amazing that they both said it, but how much what we say affects. And I think now with teaching especially, I feel I get the most out of my classes because not even from the steps I teach, it's because of communication and the personality I put into my class. I always, growing up, remembered that as a teacher, that when I walked into people's classes and I felt them invested in communication first, was more important than the dance steps. And I think that's something we really need to, as teachers, encourage and build, that it's
What a
not
gift.
just about the combo.
What a gift
as
that we
well.
have as leaders, as of teachers, to have such, you know, two amazing dancers who have obviously gone through a lot of teachers, but you remember things that your teachers said to you. And I think sometimes as teachers we can forget the impact our words have, and we're too busy getting the choreo out. We're too busy polishing that routine or making it sure it's stage ready or whatever that is. Like, it's such a power that we have.
100%, 100%. And that is, like, it's such a big thing in teaching, that as much as what you're teaching in the steps, what are you communicating through that class? You know, I think a dance class is an experience. As a teacher, I feel you get the most out of, and you will build clientele and you'll build a class by the performance you put into your dance class. I think people forget that being a teacher is a show. I will never forget the first, when I was 19. God, what I'd do to go back. I remember 19 and going to LA. I didn't do full time. My choice was to get overseas and train and learn from, back in those days, you'd just have to, like, who's that dancer behind Britney, or who's that behind Janet, and then you'd find them in a way, and then you'd get there. And I'll never forget Brian Friedman's class when I was 19, and it was like, he had his big curly hair and everything. And I remember when he walked into that room and he started teaching, it was literally like he walked in so normal, you would just be like, and I thought it was the coolest thing, like, so nothing. And then when that hour started, so it hit, say, 10 a.m., and that music started, he put on a white shirt and he literally went, boom. And for that hour and a half, you were in his presence in a performance. And the whole class, what you got out of that class is because he was there looking at you. He was there correcting you. All eyes, everything. It was a show. It was game on. It was boom, 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 boom. Like, and that is something I have always loved the teachers that, and I think watching teachers teach improve you as a teacher. Like, there are moments in my life that I always remember what I felt when I watched someone. I remember being on a convention and Mia Michaels was teaching, and I'll never forget that class because I'm such an observer. I'm one of those people that will travel to places and just watch people because I love it. But no, but do you know what I mean? Like, watching as humans, what you watch and observe can inspire you more than what you actually do. And I'll never forget the way she could hold a room without showing one step and just communicating what the fit, like she would play, like I was in tears, like I wasn't even in the class, so I was in the corner like having tears going, because she took you into this world. And the power of a teacher and what you can get out of it, and this is what I always talk to people when you're building your brand as a choreographer. If you want to be a choreographer, if you want to be a teacher, if you want to be on the world stage as a teacher, if you want to be respected as a teacher, it is your choice to start your own show. And you have to have your own brand that it becomes, this is the Marco Panzic show. You know when you come into, I know, trust me, you wake up in the morning, we've all been there, and you're like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Like, today was hard. I was like, oh my God, I've got so much going on. And I know when that time starts and I walk into a room and I go, I know my teacher alter ego kicks in and I'm, hey guys, let's go. Because I know if I'm not present, if I'm not there, if I'm on this vibration, if I'm not steering the ship, if I'm not, you're letting everyone down. And I truly believe, and I've seen a lot of teachers in my time, I've hired lots of teachers, and I'm very big on the quality of a teacher I have in front of people. And I can tell you I've seen brilliance in teachers that are there, that are pushing, and I've seen hype teachers that we all love that just float by, and you're paying them so much money and their vibrations here, and the kids love it because they think they have to love it, but there's actually no vibe in the room. And it is such an and I will never hire, as soon as that becomes, if I know your motivation isn't in that room to improve people and to build people, and it doesn't even come down to the steps. It's about that you're walking in and you're going, I've arrived and I'm here invested. And this is why with teachers, that when they say, I deserve this much money, or I deserve this, or I should be paid this, or I should be paid that. Do you know what? I'm like, you should be paid how good your performance is. Do you know what I mean? And I know this whole, it's an award weight, it's a da-da-da, all of these rates and everything that get thrown around. At the end of the day, I would pay Paris Goebel $10,000 for an hour and a half. Because I know when she struts into that room, she's going to sell out a room and make me a profit and do that, but she's going to put on the best show that will change every single person's life in that room. So when your teachers ask you for things, or they have to show it in the room, you have to build your own fan club. Your performance as a teacher, and when you want to travel around and you want to teach, you better be building your own classes, because that's how I started as a teacher. My first aim when I started teaching was I'm going to make every kid love me. Because guess what? If everyone in that room loves me and every kid and every student in that room loves me, guess what goes up? My value.
Absolutely. Hey, can I ask on that?
Sorry, that went really...
No, because I love that. And you started answering
But I'm
my
just like, this
question.
generation, I get really frustrated sometimes because I feel like there's so many lazy friggin' teachers out there.
Absolutely.
And it boils my blood.
I think
I'm like, teaching is such a honor. And you are not in, you're like, the money you can make as a teacher is ridiculous if you're a good teacher and you can build it and you have a performance skill and you can sell it. But until you can do that and have those skills, your value all relies on yourself. Your value does not rely on the studio owner getting you all the kids and putting the lights on and paying all the bills for you just to sit in a chair and have your smoothie and walk around and talk about your day. And then by 15 minutes in, you're still, not started the class.
it's taken your time. And that's right. Absolutely. And so many people in here would teach huge amounts of hours, as do you. You teach huge hours, and you talked about that performance quality. The second you get there, you turn it on, you know it becomes the Marco. What tips do you have? And I know this is a little bit off topic, but what tips do you have for all the teachers in here who, get in there and they're like, oh, it's a big day. How am I going to do it? How do you find that energy when it's been a rough morning? You've got stuff going on at home. There's stuff going on in your social lives. All of those things. How do you put that performance on? Do you know? Do you know what the magic is?
My first and foremost thing is dance only exists because of music. So, first of all, and this is where everyone has it back to front. Everyone thinks dance exists and then we add music. That's rubbish. We only dance because of music. We only dance because we love sound and we love beat and we love things. So I don't care whatever mood I'm in. Like this morning, hearing Ariana made me happy. So I surround myself with music that brings me joy, or it makes me feel a certain way. I really believe in music has this power that when I created that combo, do you know when you create a combo and you work to something, it's always a snapshot of that time. So even if I'm in a time of oh my God, I don't know if I can do this. Yes. And it's I get transported back to that date I taught it, a month ago, that it always brings me joy. So first and foremost, you have to love music. You have to be so in and know your sound. What is your sound? If you're the performer in that class, what are the songs? I love a female pop. Give me pop music, give me something that's a bit a little sassy, give me a little kickball chain, give me something that, no, but if you have that music that drives you, you can literally, that's why even warm up for me especially, there's all these things of you don't really need to warm up and all that body thing and da-da-da. For me, a warm up, even if, say, we do workshops and Surya does a class, I will still go in and do a 5-minute warm up. The warm-up isn't to get the kids warm, it's to get you into the performance mode. So my first song is always the switch up of, it's a high energy. So if I can get everyone on that vibration and we're all there together, and I'm even, because, it's that whole Tony Robbins secret. You can feel like this, and if you drastically change something and you change your rhythm or you change your movement, your mood can change. So you can walk into a room feeling like this. If I pump a club mix of a song and it's it's forcing me to go. So I just force the shit out of it to bring it out of me. So then in a room, I'm then in this vibration of okay, I'm going. And everyone's with me. So the warm up to me is the
such a great tip.
Support act.
Yeah, I think that's such a great tip.
What would you guys say?
I just think about how much impact I have on the kids every single time I walk in that room. And like you said, energy is a gift and it's an exchange. Dancing is an exchange of energy. And I think about all the times I came into the room and my eyes lit up and I was I have this teacher today. I want to be that teacher for those kids, no matter how I'm feeling that day. And even to a point where I'm I might not fill up my own cup today, but I'm going to fill these kids up today because it's my impact that matters the most. So I just think of the kids so much.
It's amazing. Thanks.
And if you have seen a Surya class, this is something I love about you. You can be a kilometre away from the studio and you'll still hear, yeah. And that's another, but I would say that's your motivation in the way you teach is so high energy that even you're she almost brings it out of people because she's vocalizing how they should be feeling. Does that make sense? And then the kids, it's you're a cheerleader, watching you teach. It's you're literally on the sideline, go. And it's great though, because you can see that exchange of the kids are then getting that whole, they're feeling something from the teacher that I'm good enough. And then that changes a whole exchange.
I think mine is definitely your class is a reflection of the energy you bring. So no one wants to teach a class that's low energy, low vibe, everyone's slugging around on the floor. But if you're bringing that energy, of course it's going to transpire onto the kids because they're looking up to you, they're inspired by you. And if you're bringing that energy, it's not inspiring. So I think that when I go into teach a class, I'm thinking about what I wanted my teachers to be when I was in the kids' position. So I will always go in no matter what, how I'm feeling. I will always go in with a positive attitude because it's not about me, it's about the kids.
Oh, Will, that is incredible and so insightful from a young kid. And I think as studio owners and all young teachers in here, you know, if you're saying the class is low energy, it's a reflection on you.
Absolutely.
And to have that self-reflection, you know, it's not about the kids, it's what you've brought. And that's exactly what you just hit the nail on the head.
And if kids
That's
are
amazing.
dropping out of that class, it's not the studio owner, it's the teacher. Can't tell you that no one would leave a great environment. Does that make sense? And that's the responsibility that so many times it falls on the studio owner or something out. This is happening, and it's like you're steering that ship. And that's your fan club.
Yeah.
That eventually, those 20 kids that are in your room and you're teaching them are your most loyal clientele for the rest of your life. Because when you want to, become bigger and do your own things and get your name out there and you want to put an open class on, who are going to be the first people there? That room. So I always, when I was coming up and when people say to me, how do I become like a choreographer, like a well-known, that's what I want to do. It's like, you have to put in the work. You have to start the Marco Panzic tour. You have to start exactly like a musician. You have to play the small grounds. You have to do I still to this day, and not in a way of like, I am so busy I do not have to teach in a way. Like there's so much going on, but I love teaching. Teaching is something that when I'm in that environment and I'm in that room, it transcends me and makes me happy. Like that's a happy place for me. And you could literally, I do not care, you could throw me anywhere and I could teach them. And how many teachers can you say that about?
I love that about you. And I've seen Marco at studio. There are some teachers and choreographers that only choose the high-level studios to go to. And I've seen you at all different types of studios because you're sharing your gift with so many people.
I prefer. I'm not a hype chaser. Like my favorite classes can sometimes be in the middle of nowhere, regional, a class of just people who just love dancing. And you see that one kid that you go, oh my God, you have something special. And that is so, do you get what I mean? Like it's amazing when you find those little diamonds when you're teaching and you're like, gosh, and all they needed to hear is like, you're really good. Because it happened to me. I was living in Perth. I had a dance studio when I was 17 to 21. I owned a dance studio in Perth. I thought that was it. My life was set. I'm going to be a studio owner. I'm staying in Perth with my Commodore. Yeah. And my life is set. WA. And then I went to Melbourne for a workshop, and this dancer who danced for Janet, Teresa Espinosa, and probably still to this day would never know, came up to me and said, you are really talented. Why aren't you doing this as a job? And my brain went, what do you mean a job? Because then it wasn't very like, I came from, my dad's a Boilermaker, my mum worked in a bank. It was very, get a job, get money, like what are you going to do? What's dancing going to do? And I'm someone that's I like to prove people wrong. So it was one of those moments that power of just being told you should do this changed my life from one person that would never know, steered me to then a month later, sell that studio, get on a plane and move to Sydney. Like in that instant, and change my life and wouldn't even know. So it's like the power of words and the power of being in an environment and how you can and do it positively is so powerful.
It's amazing. Hey, can we jump back onto these lovely young people's...
Shut up, Marco.
No, that is not what I meant because there is so much value in what you're saying. But I'd love to talk about, the training and how you guys feel as, you're both recent-ish graduates of full-time and how the process has gone because probably there's been, you guys are both working, which is fantastic and congratulations, but probably a lot of your classmates aren't. And I know that's a really hard thing. And how can we help, best support? We want to nurture everyone's dream, but we also want to be realist because there are people that are coming through and not everyone's going to work. And if they love dance, well, that's fantastic. But there's got to be this happy balance, right? I don't know if you have any advice to teachers, and Marco might even want to start this off, but how do we, oh, nope, it's a tricky question, but how do we balance building people up but also setting realistic expectations, I guess? It's a hard question. I'm sorry to throw that to you.
Oh, I think it's being realistic. But in saying that, there's a way to say everything. So I think just don't beat around the bush. Be honest with everyone and what you think. Not everyone's going to be like backup dancer for J-Lo and Beyonce and everything. Like, that's just how it is. But in saying that, I do think that the dance world, Australia's a little bit small, but out of that, there are jobs, and I think even if it's not in dance, it could be in TVCs, it could be in acting. There are other things that other students can do, and I think it's being realistic with them and showing them the path that they can go down. And even if they don't work within the creative arts, what we do shows so much discipline. So even if you don't end up working here, you're going to take what you've learned as a dancer into your next job. You're going to stand taller, you're going to speak louder, and I just think that will help improve, like, with everything that you will do in your life.
I love that.
Yeah, basically going off what Will said, there's room for everyone. And I actually do remember, this is how powerful words are in show business, Marco saying to our group that dancing has so many branches and so many aspects. And like Will was saying, TVCs, everything, even down to like makeup and hair, like it teaches us so many skills and the discipline. I do believe there's room for everyone, but it does get to a point where you do have to be realistic with the student and what they're wanting. And if you think they're going to make it, if you think what path of them is right, you'll be realistic. But I do believe, yeah, like I said, there is room for everyone and there's branches that dancing can give you. Absolutely. So, yeah.
I know that's such a tricky question, right? Because there is, and you don't want to put limiting beliefs on kids either, because you might, they might go to that next studio, something else might click for them. They might have that next teacher and all of those things, but it's hard.
And I also, sorry, Marco's back. I was trying to, I feel like Kirsten Wiig in I think as well, in full-time, in the system that we've created here, I definitely think we need to be more heavy on the education side rather than the step side. I think if you're offering a year or 2 years or 3 years of full-time and there's not theory elements and you're not walking out knowing the bones in your body and just how to do an invoice or how to write a professional email or how to have business skills or how not to manage yourself. I think the biggest part of it, and I'm telling you now, we lose, I would say, 5% of full-timers have the chance of a job. Harsh reality, 95% don't. Why do 95% don't? Is because they're not taught any how to manage themselves skills. So they leave a system that's already broken because the arts world does not run by a schedule. We do not run by a timetable. Never in my life as a creative, and all of you would know, timetabling a creative life does not exist. It is so up and down, it changes. So when you're formulated for a year or 2 or 3 into a system that's 9 till 4 and you're hand-fed and you can feel all these emotions and you go through it and you're doing class, 4 classes a day. 4 classes a day times 5 days is 20, then how many weeks in it? That's a lot of content, yeah? And I just think we don't know how to then leave that and be injected into a world to then survive, to manage yourself, because we're equipped with steps. We're not equipped to how to sell anything. And our job as dancers and creatives is to sell yourself. You have to be able to write an email to a studio owner. You need to know how to have the difficult conversations professionally. You need to know how to manage yourself, how to hold yourself. So much more is in the detail of managing than it is in the steps. Even when you work professionally as a choreographer on a job, 5% of what you think about is the actual steps on stage. Everything else is emailing, costuming, running around for that. It's the same as when you're putting your dance concert together. I guarantee the dance steps on that stage come in less than all the managing side of putting that event on. Newsletters, parents, everyone's got the whole information. Does everyone know the ticketing, the, oh my God, the budget, the da-da-da, like all of that. Like even just starting to the zone of that full-timers don't know how to spreadsheet is alarming, because we need to know how to budget our lives. I want to move to London. How do you get there? How do you budget for that? What's a budget? How do I write a budget? How do I do that? These are the things that I do believe if we teach dancers more managing skills, we're not only going to have better dancers in the industry and out there getting more opportunity, we're going to have better teachers, because how many teachers are, we all know, never respond to emails, do not know how to communicate because they don't know how to manage themselves at all.
I love that. Absolutely. And like I've had the privilege of teaching inside your show business course, and Marco is so big about teaching that to all of his students inside show businesses, you know, teaching them different things besides just the steps. So I think that's so, so powerful. So coming back to nurturing the dream and how we build up these incredible young dancers, you know, let's talk about, you know, when they start taking workshops. Let's talk about, you know, those kids that, you know, when's the right age for them to start looking externally from their studio, and how do we balance as, you know, teachers for most of us inside a set studio, how do we balance how many workshops is appropriate, what should they be doing, what age is appropriate that they start looking externally to their studio, and you know, how do we kind of navigate that whole thing, I guess? And what's the best way? Oh, sorry, Marco.
It's a nightmare now. I don't even know how you guys do it. It's like seeing the dance calendar now, it is non-stop, and there's a million versions of everything now. So it's this whole quality control, trying to find where, and I think first and foremost, your clientele at your studio or your students or whatever relationship you have, I just hope there's a way of that you're communicating in a way that they come to you for advice and guidance. Do you know what I mean? Because I do feel like that lacks. I see a lot of the times so many people just from January to December dancing non-stop. And holiday programs are brilliant. I run one in January. It's amazing. I love it. But I do believe dancers do need off time. You need, as children, there should be an off season the way at AFL or any other sport that there's an off season, that you just also don't lose your childhood just dancing 24/7 all year round. And also having that relationship with your teachers that you can be like, I'm thinking of doing this. So then at least you can be like, oh, that's, you know, a great opportunity, but have you seen this? Something that you may see more value in. Yeah. And also sometimes, and this is really hard because with a lot of the dream stuff, it's very audition based to get into dream. And my only reason for that is because a lot of the times, you know, I would love to have even 100 more kids in the program. It would be great for me, brilliant. But I don't want to take money off people that should be putting money into your studio doing more ballet classes. And the problem is, and not that it's a problem, there's something for everyone now, and that's great, but also takes away them training at your studio and investing their money into you. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but I just think, you know, yes, there's programs that, you know, back in the day with Aussie Ballet School and all these things that there was I need to work hard to get to that. And I've seen the proof in it. I've seen with Dream, the kids I've said no to, and by the third time they've auditioned that they get in, and the improvement in them and the achievement of getting that is like something so special, because, you know, as harsh as it is, they didn't get in, it built a resilience and a work ethic. And I worry now that we don't want to make the society of dance too much of, if you can pay for it, you can do it. And I really worry with a lot of programs that there's a big, I feel like sometimes I'm up at 3 a.m. and I'm watching the infomercials and people are selling me things, and here's the da-da-da-da, and it looks shiny and it looks great and it looks beautiful and all of that. And anyone, we want anyone. And that's beautiful, but what you're saying is we want anyone who will pay for it, unfortunately. But what I then see is that some people who are investing thousands of dollars into other things that could be at your studio picking up tap, could be picking up ballet, because what they're doing is dropping other things that are then shortening their span of growth to do something else. And probably half the time these kids owe you money in fees and they're out there doing something else. And you're like, you can't even pay for your term fees and I saw you at that workshop. Yeah? But I just think that, I think don't be afraid to have an open communication in your studio. That there's not a policy as such, but an open door that it's like, we're here to guide you. We're here to help you. If there's external things, come to us so we can, every kid is different and every kid is going to want to do different programs, and that's amazing, and different workshops and different things. But it would be great for you to be on that journey to help guide them, because it's the same then when it comes to full-time. There's that smorgasbord choice of things that I hope they would want to come to you and get your opinion so they can move you into it.
Amazing. I'd love to know, Surya and Will, what hit, from your home school, the teachers or the studio owners, what really hit when they were helping guide you that kept you there for a little bit longer? What worked, what didn't? Was it when they didn't want to have a communication about it? Is that what turned you off? Or, I don't know. Have you got any insight to share on that?
I think what helped the most at a studio that I trained at for the longest was just them being personable and approachable, absolutely. And them being real humans. I got to an age where you can have different conversations with teachers when you get to an adult stage, but I think them being open about life experiences and all the things they went through as humans made me feel like I was a part of that and I could be that too. And I think, but going off, this is like a bit of a tangent, but going off like the off season and stuff like that, I think that's a really important topic that needs to be vocalized a whole lot more. And I feel like what guided me and like helped me and supported me the most was being able to be a human and a dancer at the same time, and remembering that I am Surya first and then I'm a dancer after that. And I feel like being able to experience life things and listen to my teachers speak about their life experience changed the way I danced and the perspective I had on dancing. And if I didn't have all of that, I wouldn't be the dancer I am today. So I think that's really, really, really important. I could be speaking completely off topic right now, but I had to say it.
Absolutely.
I think for me, I definitely came from a studio where communication and approaching the studio owners wasn't really a thing. Like, I feel like I came from a place where it was very difficult to have an open conversation with the owners of the studio because there wasn't that level of like communication, or like if you were to approach them with a question of, can I do this, it was almost as if they were offended that you were even considering doing something outside of the studio. And I think that, like, I'm going to speak from the dream creative, doing that really opened my eyes into the fact that there was a life outside of my studio. I'm definitely someone who, when I'm in something, I'm in it. And like, I have my blinders on and I struggle to see outside of that. But going to do outside things like the Dream Creative was a positive thing for me, because I could see that, wow, there actually is a life outside of my own studio. And I think as studio owners, when your kids are going to do things outside the studio, I think they're loyal enough to the studio that it's not a thing as if, oh, are they going to leave, or are they going to find things on the other side, you know what I mean? And my studio was definitely one that was like a bit cut if I were to go do something outside of it. But I was a loyal student, and it wasn't as if, oh, I'm doing this because I want to leave and move to another studio. I wanted to gauge experiences outside of those walls.
I love that you're so honest about that. Thank you for being so honest about that. And I think that that's probably a really good lesson. I think probably what you're both saying is that It's so important to have open and honest and create those environments for our students where we can have those open and honest conversations about what they want to do and support them rather than putting the walls up and go, no, you can't go to that workshop. No, you can't do that. I know you've seen that on Instagram, but and creating the conversations because, and I think it's also like self-belief in your own product as well, that the kids will return because as you said, you were so loyal to those studios and I think that's really something to take away.
And I think as well, with Dream Creative, it's real. I love that's something I love about is there's so many different studios in that room, and it's so funny because we see online all these studios, and we have big studios, and they all come together, and it's funny about the environment you creates the environment, and seeing everyone come together. It kind of like I feel like because everyone's kind of their center at their studio, or they. And then, I still remember the first dream. L. Demos was in the back row, and I was like, how does it feel, L? But I was like, it was so important in that Dream Creative thing that all these kids that came from being the star at their studio, they were experiencing, like you said, it opens your eyes to going, oh my God, look at. And if it's done in the right way, and our whole motive is that at the end of it, you're returning to your studio to go, oh my God, I have so much work to do. And I want to continue working hard. And the thing is, and a lot of the kids that come, they wear their studio with pride. And I love that. I love, I've seen even studios just grow from their kids having that exposure and that belief, and then they go back to their studio and we're like, we're proud to be here, and then it builds that morale of the studio, and then people know that studio. Like, it's a really fun, and I think it's all about the environment you create and allowing kids to be kids. And to tell you the honest truth, I feel like Dream Creative, 80% of the best part of it is these kids just being kids. And they get to meet new people, and there's people now like you and Tiggy are best friends, and they were in the first Dream Creative ever in 2018, and it's like, I'm telling you now, when I'm like, okay guys, you've got lunch now, they're so excited about lunch because they all get to meet, and you see them that I'm just watching them going, they're just loving being kids right now. They're just loving being able to just be, and they're just, does that make sense?
Yeah, you're so right. And going off that, like Marco said, my bestest of friends are from the Dream Creative and from when I had exposure outside of my studio. I don't have any friends from my studios anymore because some of them don't dance or they've taken a different avenue or they're overseas or somewhere different. My bestest friends and my support network, now that I'm out of full-time and I'm my own brand and my own business, are the people from Dream Creative or are the people from different workshops that I've met from different studios because I had that exposure.
And Tiggy's from Melbourne, so now she has a place to stay in Melbourne at any time. Like, it's the best network. I always say, great, you're going to meet someone in every state. You have somewhere to crash whenever you need for a job or an audition. Great networking for accommodation.
I love that. And I love just allowing space, and that's something we could all do inside our own studios. Allow space for those friendships to form, for those bonds to be created, all of that. We are wrapping up on time. Not yet, because we like to talk, but I thought we might just is there something that you would really love anyone to, put out there, and how we can really create that new generation, the new era of creating the dream? What would be your best takeaways for these amazing teachers and studio owners on how they can best support their students?
Oh God, okay. I think creating an environment with the kids that's super positive. As we've said a million times up here, students hang off literally every word that you say, and I don't think that you truly understand that the things you say to the kids carry weight with them. I always say this. If you were spoken to by a superior in a different setting outside of a studio, let's say you worked at Woolies or something, and your superior was speaking to you sometimes the way that other teachers speak to their students, it wouldn't be okay. But why is it okay in a studio? It's not. And I don't believe in attacking or screaming at a kid to get the best out of them, because I'm definitely someone that will work harder for someone I respect and for someone that I love and I want to be in the room with, rather than someone who's constantly putting me down. I don't want to work hard for that, but I will give my all to the person who is wanting to uplift me and is super positive around me. So I think it's just making sure that you understand the things that you say to the kids carries weight.
I would say just nurturing the love for dancing. For me personally, is the most important thing. If you lose the love and you lose the little fire and the light that's within you, it's really hard to light back up again. And I think if you love it and you can nurture the kids with their love, even if the love's different, the love's like for the makeup or for the hair or for the branches that go out of all aspects of dancing, I think if they can carry that love for the rest of their life, they're going to make it, and they're going to make their dreams come true. If you love it, you can make anything possible, and that's what I truly believe in. So nurture that, yeah.
I'm going to be really, really quick, but this whole new era thing and why I'm doing what I'm doing with this new show is because, back 9 years ago now when Genesis started, the first ever dream, my whole motive was to put a lineup of, 12 amazing dancers that were fresh, new, and I look at that line now of Lauren Seymour, Michael Domesky, Alex Medinsky. Like if I went through that whole cast, they all still have a career. I was literally in Amsterdam watching Jowl behind Madonna going, 9 years ago, he was on the
What a
Dreams.
proud moment.
Yeah, and it's like you're watching these people, and for me, I feel there is, and if you're a new person sitting here or you're a teacher that feels they're at the beginning, I'm telling you now, there's a new era coming, and I think Australia needs a new insurgent of creatives and new people for kids to look up to and new relevant people. And my first and foremost thing, my success is not the reason why the dream continues. It's because it's really not about me. I hate when people talk about me. I don't want any accolade for what I do. My whole reason and motive for what I do is when I see people like this and I find people like this that can go out into the world and shine and make a better community, and I can invest and be behind that and push that, that's what will ultimately make the industry better. So this new lineup of 10 dancers, it's inspiring to me. It's very frightening because it's a whole new thing, but it's also, I want to introduce 10 new people into this industry that we can all look at and go, oh my God, there's fresh blood that we can use and have new creators, new choreographers, new teachers for our kids to look up to. Because if we keep going without new inspiration, we're going to see the same teachers over and over and over again, and it becomes stale. We need new and exciting teachers. And that is something that I'm really positive about. So please come and see the show.
I was going to say, how do we get tickets? We'd love to see these amazing
Follow
dancers.
the Dream Dance Company. Follow the journey of a new era. I'm telling you now, these dancers are phenomenal. I would love for you to witness this live. I get the same kind of nerves as I felt with Genesis because it was something new and that has never been done before. With this, it's very different. Every dancer has their moment in this show. It's going to be really, really exciting. So I'd love for you to come and watch it. And secondly, just remember your teachers, and if you're a teacher, that it's your show. And everything that you want to do, it's up to you. And invest in it and start putting the work in. Nothing comes to you easy. It doesn't matter that we've chosen a profession that you have to continue to work, upgrade. We are like the iPhone 20, 21, 22. I'm telling you now, I'm on software update currently. Do you know what I mean? So it's like we are currently always upgrading. And if you can't upgrade and shift and move and relate to people and interchange relationships, and that's why you're all here, to connect, get the information, but also take things back to your studio and be selfish and invest in yourself and know you're worthy of it and put the effort in and enjoy it. And last thing, dance is truly, and I have to tell myself this every day because I wake up very stressed lately because I have like 17 million things going on at once right now. But every day I wake up and go, okay, what am I doing this all for? And it's all to make people happy and to entertain people and to have fun. That is all we're doing. All the other noise is just contributing to that outcome. So we've just got to remember that what we do is actually fun. So
Amazing.
enjoy it.
Amazing. Can we give a big round of applause to these amazing people? Now that I've heard a bit of behind the scenes of Will and Surya, I could not wait to see New Era. It's going to be amazing, so make sure you grab your tickets. Thank you so much, everyone. How incredible of these three. If you'd like, I'm sure if they have a moment, we might move outside and have some photos and stuff if they wouldn't mind. But thank you so much, guys. Big round of applause. You guys are amazing.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy your day. Enjoy. I'll see you in 2 weeks in the audience, right? Come along.
Can't wait.
Don't be shy.